I wasn't ready when I died. The first illusion death stole from me is that my body is designed to perceive the universe around me. This is incorrect. The primary function of your senses is to stop yourself from experiencing the universe, whose infinite information would otherwise overwhelm and madden you. Eyes that once simplified the world into finite wavelengths of color closed for the last time. And then I saw everything. Ears once deaf to the cosmic music sung by the birth of stars, the communal heartbeat of the human race, the haunting pop of each collapsing universe, concealed them no longer. Even the distinction between my senses decayed alongside my corporeal prison. Starlight was a symphony that bathed me in warmth, and the heat in turn sang with such a melodic iridescence that I was thralled to its majesty. It's impossible to measure how long I existed in such a state, but by gradual degrees I learned to separate my own thoughts from the melody of existence. The moment I began to comprehend my own internal voice, I became aware of a second voice that was not my own. 487 points. Hey Jason, you closed that pigeon room yet? I told you, we don't do that anymore. Hi. Excuse me. I said to the unrepentant chaos of the universe. Here you go. Let me help you with that. Remember what I said about the unfiltered synesthesia of my senses? Now, imagine being struck by lightning. A moment later, I found myself with hands and knees to collapse onto the stone floor with, my new lungs racing a marathon. Holy shit, did that hurt. I kinda want to do it again. 478 points, up from 314 last time. Solid performance. I don't know what was harder to accept, that my naked body looked exactly like my old one, or the colossal stone cathedral I suddenly found myself within, or the koala bear who sat in front of me with a clipboard. He flipped another page. Oh, that explains it, the koala said in a soothing, scruff undertone. 50 points for loving someone and being loved in return. That's always a nice boost. Then you picked up another 20 from that album you released in the 80s. Touched more lives than you'll know with that one. You were keeping score? I hate to think what people would get up to if we didn't. Lost 12 points because you stopped visiting Mark when he got cancer, but you got a few of those points back when you played at his funeral. Hey Jason, what's accepting your own imperfections worth? We got new numbers on that yet? He was answered with the incomprehensible shriek of an eagle. Shit, man. Right back at ya, the koala hollered. Have you always been a koala? I asked. Have you always asked stupid questions? You're lucky we don't dock points for that. Kidding, sort of. This way now. The koala slid the clipboard under his arm and began a brisk waddle. I hurried to keep pace, doing my absolute best to avoid the absolute zoo which thronged the stone hallway onward. Up the great diverging staircase with its goats and mountain lions, past the library whose shelves bristled with scaling monkeys, over the pools that were filled with playing otters and thrashing fish, beneath the gargantuan brass dome, revolving with teeming flights of birds, the koala explaining as we went. Long story short, if your life brought more good into the world than evil, you're going to end up with more points than you started. Your 708 points can unlock any one of the rooms on this floor, except for the psychic and the prophet, which are both 500. Think of your choice as an investment. Coming back as a human will be expensive, but you also have the greatest capacity to improve your score. The only rule is that you pick something on the floor right for your budget. What would happen if I didn't have any points, or went below 0? I hadn't been aware that koalas could grin before this moment. Generally, you'll just keep going down. It's hard to get out of the negatives once you started. So if you can't figure out how to do some good, then you're forced to keep choosing worse and worse punishment rounds. Go far enough negative, suddenly you're looking at a demon or a vampire or something like that. Some people actually do evil on purpose and aim for that. Can you imagine? No, I said honestly, but I'm beginning to. All the animals you see here, they're just spirits taking their new bodies for a test drive. Feel free to look around and... Jason, what's that doing up here? Keep the politicians downstairs, please. The mournful shriek from the eagle sounded like it heard that joke far too many times. The koala sighed and threw up his paws melodramatically in the air. Kidding. God, what is this, a morgue? I wasn't paying attention anymore, though. Dwarfed and humbled by the intensity of the structure, I turned my gaze to the top of the stairs and saw a small balcony which overhung the whole arena. What's at the very top? My guide shrugged, seemingly losing interest in me. I don't know. No one's ever had enough points to unlock that door. Not as long as I've been here. How long have... Diggory, Mixie, ground floor, let's go, people dying over here. And he was gone, leaving me adrift in the swirling profusion between death and life. Overwhelmed and disoriented, I continued to climb the stairs, driven to isolate myself as much as possible, as I was driven by curiosity. Past 500 points, the crowd dissipated precipitously. Strange alien creatures began dwindling with the remaining options. Seraphic beings with skin of light and shadow, and golden-toned creatures of sublime beauty came and went as I continued to mount the lonely stairs. Finally, reaching the balcony at the very top, I turned to survey the whole mad spectacle flowing beneath me. The perspective was disorienting. I thought I'd only climbed a few flights of stairs. Looking down, it seemed more like the view of an airplane window, all the creatures minuscule in their eager dance. All the sounds faded and combined into a single, omnipresent hymn. All sounds, that is, except for the rapid burst of knocking on the door behind me. This wasn't like the other doors. Its metallic composition seemed in perpetual motion, rippling and glistening like a pool of oil. 3 ponderous iron bars were bolted across the frame, preventing it from opening outward, each engraven with mystic ruins beyond my comprehension. The knocking came again, rapid, urgent, like a prisoner desperately calling for aid without wanting to alert the guards. Hello? Someone in there? The hissing sound like high-pressured steam bursting through its confinement. The bolts in the iron bars began to slide outward. I rushed back to the balcony in search of my guide, but so far below he merged seamlessly within the throng. Behind me, the clanging sound had made me jump. The first iron bar dropped to the ground. Can anyone hear me? But I was utterly alone. I took half a dozen steps back towards the stairs, but at the clang of the second iron bar, I indecisively spun back. And why not? What was the worst that could happen, now that I was already dead? That sentiment did not endure. Through the dropping of the third bar, the whole door shimmered like a mirage in the desert, and without motion or warning, it was gone. Bile rose in my throat the instant I saw the creature. My legs buckled beneath me and I crashed hard on my knees, vomiting profusely on the ground. It wasn't food. Heaving again, my whole body convulsed to the swelling pressure. I realized another dark torrent of blood, lumps of degraded flesh, even what appeared to be entire rotting organs, which laboriously wriggled up my throat out of my mouth. I almost forgot my own death for a while, but it became immediately clear that I had not escaped as far as I thought. Come in, the creature commanded. I was powerless to refuse. Crawling through my own sick, not daring to look up again, I passed through the door. Seeing it only once had been enough. The humanoid being was swollen to the size of a cow, bloated with gas which unevenly malformed its corpulent frame. Open sores covered its body, weeping blood and pus down its nakedness so thickly that it almost seemed like a garment. Gaping mortal wounds which punctured its chest and belly in so many places, allowing clear sight all the way through to its broken, uneven ribs. Somehow, worst of all, the unblemished face of a young boy, staring from that mockery of human life. Are you alone? More alone than I've ever been. I nodded, still not looking up. The room itself was minimal to the extreme. A concrete prison cell with no comforts besides a thin bamboo floor mat. Not anymore, it said, hot, fetid air blowing across my face with each word. Who are you? I asked. The final prize. Come, sit with me. Be at ease. My body tensed so sharply that I thought I was about to vomit again. I remained on my knees. Why would anyone want to be? I stopped myself, but the child laughed with a sound like wind chimes. No one, but being at the top doesn't mean the best. It simply means that I have the greatest capacity to do good or evil. I can create life or end it. Does that sound like the power you'd like to have? I shook my head, finally daring another glance. The creature had leaned forward on its mat, its terribly perfect face mere inches from mine. The boy sighed and then leaned back once more. Me either, which is why I remain in this place. My influence is too great. Any good or evil I bring into existence is multiplied countless times. If I allow that to happen, I will die with so many points I'm forced to be reborn with the same cursed form. So, you have the power to do anything, but instead you sit here and do nothing? Not nothing. I wait to die. That's the only way for me to reset to 0 points and have another chance to begin again. Unless, of course. The child's face was drawing closer. The stench was too foul to breathe through my nose, but even having the air enter my mouth was enough to taste the rot. You invited me in here to kill you then, I said as matter-of-factly as I could, not wishing to cause offense. You aren't the first, he said, gesturing to the wounds which scorned its body, but through revulsion or weakness or cowardice, each have failed so far. Will you be the one to show me mercy? The thought of even getting close enough to harm the creature almost had me retching again. I still don't understand, I said, buying time. If you're the supreme power here, why can't you save yourself? The supreme power. Laughter like the wind, so sweet and so sad. Death is the supreme power. I am his servant like any other. Don't you think I've tried to take my own life before? The act carries such significance that I would simply find myself reborn in the same body. Here, you'll need this. A trembling hand reached out to me. Its obese fingers fused at the joints. I recoiled by reflex, but I felt such pity for the creature that I fought against my own instincts and accepted the black dagger from his grasp. How do I end you? Through the eye, he begged. Are you sure? Such a dazzling smile from such a loathsome creature. I can't imagine how much he must have suffered, and I'm sure I would have asked the same in his place. The cool, dark metal felt righteous in my hand as I steeled myself for the killing blow. Some nagging doubt lingered in the back of my head, but I was so mesmerized by my disgust and sympathy for the creature that I could not think of any other course. Won't you at least close your eyes? I asked. His smile widened, unnaturally so for the child's face. I've been looking forward to this moment for as long as I can remember. I'm not going to miss a moment. Worried that any hesitation would steal my resolve, I took the dagger in both hands and plunged it deep. The eye did not even close as the blade slipped through it. It cut so easily that I felt no resistance until the very hilt was embedded in the boy's face. His smile faltered for the briefest instant before returning, then grimacing again, as though fluctuating between agony and ecstasy. The massive body trembled, but I didn't relinquish my grip until the last spasm overbalanced the monstrosity. I scrambled to get out of the way as it toppled face first towards me, slamming against the ground, further pounding the dagger within its skull. Crowds parted around me as I returned down the staircase, claws and talons pointed at me with disgusted fascination. Whispers and murmurs from the multifarious assembly swelled and faded like ocean waves. I think I'd like to come back as a cat, I told the koala when I found him. He was easy enough to locate, standing out in the open, seemingly paralyzed by shock. Cats seem to have everything figured out. Jason? Minxie? Anyone? The koala shouted in a hoarse, strained voice from the corner of his mouth, not taking his eyes off me for a moment. What is it? Did I do something wrong? An owl landed nearby, cocking its head from side to side to get a better look at me. Hey, Minxie. the koala said without turning. How many points do you get for killing God? You have a number for that somewhere? I swallowed hard, but I couldn't get rid of the dry lump in my throat. You sure I didn't lose points? He stared dumbly at his clipboard. Considering what he would have done if you hadn't, yeah, I'd say acts of mercy are on here. You're way in the positive, my man. I'm not going to become that thing, am I? Not yet. You came here with 478, so that's what you're going back with. But shit, man, you've got so many now that... Unless I can spend them all in my next life, right? What? Unless I bring so much evil into the world that I break even. That's what you're saying, right? The koala looked helplessly at the owl who fluffed its wings in something that resembled a shrug. Better do human again then, I said. I don't care what I have to do. I'm not going to live as that monster. You're not serious, are you? The koala whispered. Do you have any idea what you'd have to do? I killed God, didn't I? Who knows what I'm capable of? Now that I'm back alive, I suppose I'm going to find out.